Found out my husband and his best friend had a secret relationship in high school that everyone knew except me. When I told him to distance himself from her, he keeps refusing. I feel like I'm going crazy, and I need a fresh perspective for taking the next step. Hi everyone, I 37 am married to my husband, Jacob is 37 and I need some outside perspective on something that's been eating away at me. We've been together for 13 years, married for 6. I'm feeling like I'm going crazy and not sure what to do. I met Jacob in college, and we've always been close. We come from small towns, so I'm used to him talking about his longtime friends. He grew up with a tight-knit group, and one of his best friends is his childhood friend Sophie's 3065. Sophie and Jacob have known each other since they were kids and shared so many memories. At first, I thought it was sweet, but now, and I just feel like I'm losing my mind. Before we got married, Jacob used to talk about Sophie constantly, joking around about all the mischief they got into as kids, and always reminiscing about their childhood adventures. The nickname he had for her, Soph, was something no one else was allowed to use, and I was okay with it at first because it seemed like harmless nostalgia. But then, it started bothering me when he'd constantly text her during dinner or mention her even when we were alone. He always had a story about her. I didn't think much of it, but it definitely made me feel uneasy at times. When we were planning our wedding, Jacob wanted to consult Sophie on everything. Wedding venues, food, decor. I brushed it off as him just valuing her opinion, but deep down, it felt like something more. It wasn't until Sophie made our wedding cake that I realized she had a special place in Jacob's heart. And then, ever since something strange happened, I met her. She was kind, sweet, and everything I hoped for in a friend. She wasn't anything like the stereotypical best friend from hell. She even made me feel included in their inside jokes, and I admired how much she cared about Jacob. But despite all of that, and I always felt like I was competing with a ghost. Someone who knew every intimate detail of Jacob's life that I could never reach. Either I could never have those childhood memories or deep bonds they shared, and no matter how kind and supportive Sophie was, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It all came crashing down last week when I was having coffee with one of Jacob's friends' wives, Rachel, and we were making small talk when she mentioned something about Sophie and Jacob's one that got away. I froze and asked her what she meant, and Rachel casually told me, "Oh, I thought you knew about Sophie and Jacob from high school." Apparently, everyone knew about them. Deb and Sophie had been secretly hooking up during high school, and their relationship continued for years, even through their respective other relationships. Their group of friends had always known about it but never spoke up. I sat there as Rachel told me how everyone kept covering for them during their affair. The whole group had essentially stopped speaking to each other after that summer, which was known as the Summer of Chaos. But no one ever told me. Sophie and Jacob's affair had torn apart friendships, and canceled trips and even ended some relationships. But it didn't stop there. Sophie moved away to college to get away from Jacob, and they stopped talking until his grandmother passed away. After that, and they resumed their friendship, and no Vontitaria's fear me anything. I confronted Sophie that night at her bakery, and saying that how she could have looked me in the eye all these years, knowing what I didn't know, I felt humiliated and betrayed. And she tried to downplay the situation, but it didn't matter anymore. I had already learned the truth. When I told Jacob what I had found out, he dismissed it. He claimed it was just teenage stuff, something that didn't matter anymore. I said it was all, and he said in the past that they were just friends now, and I should get over it. But I couldn't. Ida told him to distance himself from her, at least for now, but he refused. Aaron, he said I was overacting and that nothing between them would change. Now I'm questioning everything. Is it just me being crazy? And am I overacting to something that happened in the past? Or is there more going on between them than he's willing to admit? Joya at Dave, first update. Hi everyone. First off, thank you for all the responses and messages of support. I've been reading through them. And while I feel a little better knowing others can see my point of view, I'm still struggling to come to terms with everything. So, I had another fight with Jacob last night. He went his usual Friday game night, and I didn't expect anything out of the ordinary. But when he came home, I asked him if Sophie was at the game night. He sighed, clearly annoyed, and said, yes. Then, I asked him how often he'd seen her. He told me he'd gotten coffee with some of the guys earlier in the week, and then went to lunch with her on Thursday. I snapped and told him, why can't you just stay away from her for a while? You've had all these years together. May, why does she still have to be such a part of your life? He looked at me with complete frustration and said, I'm not gonna cater to your tantrum. I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not gonna act guilty. I was shaking, furious. I asked him, why can't you just understand how hurt I am? I feel like I'm the only one who didn't know about this huge part of your life. He didn't care, told me I was being unreasonable and suggested we should move. He said that I needed to grow up and stop being so insecure about everything. He's refused to even consider cutting contact with Sophie, saying we live in a small town, we're all connected. I couldn't tend no escaping it. There's no take it anymore, and I ended up throwing a coffee mug at the wall after he left. When he came back late that night, he didn't even come to bed. Instead, he sat in the living room, playing games on the PS5 with Sophie and some of their friends. He didn't even care to acknowledge me. The next day, a colleague of mine, Ben, came to talk to me. He told me that Mari says Jacob's best friend had been venting about me. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even suggested I should just learn to coexist with this situation and that Jacob's relationship with Sophie was just part of who he was. I felt like I was being gaslit by everyone, but especially Jacob. I have so many emotions right now and I'm unsure what to do next. Should I confront him again or just pack and frack up and leave? I don't know if I can keep dealing with this. A lot of people asked why I'm focusing on Sophie so much. It's because she is the constant in Jacob's life. I'm scared that I'll never be able to fully trust him around her. I feel like I'm living in a constant shadow of their past. And every time I bring it up, he gets defensive and brushes me off. I just can't shake the feeling that not enough for him anymore. And thanks for listening, everyone. I just needed to vent. Second update. So I've had a lot of time to think about everything. Shirley, and I need to admit, I've been spiraling. I've done things I'm not proud of. I threw away our wedding photos. I started obsessively checking Jacob's phone. And I even plan to call Sophie's ex-husband to see if he knew anything more about their past. I've been keeping track of every time Jacob mentioned Sophie and overanalyzing every interaction between them. Finally realized I need to take a step back. I canceled my lunch with Gertrude because I knew it wouldn't help. Instead, trying to think ahead. I spent some time at the park trying to clear my head. Jacob went to visit his mother for the day, and when he came back, I was determined to have a serious conversation with him. He came to me and admitted that he'd been acting like an idiot and comparing our marriage to his parents' toxic one, which he clearly didn't want to repeat. Coulter still fit, but he still refused to distance himself from Sophie, saying their friendship was too important to him. I asked him directly, "Do you still love Sophie? And why did you keep this all a secret from me?" He finally admitted that they were deeply in love as teenagers. But that it was a stupid, chaotic love. He said that they were like teenage idiots back then and that he never wanted to lose her. So they stayed in this weird limbo until she left for college. Then he dropped a bombshell. On there he said Effie had been pregnant with his child once, but when she lost the baby, it changed every moment in real life. He said was the moment he realized the mayor wanted to have children and that he had distanced himself from Sophie after that. Can't appear. They've stayed just friends ever since, but he confessed and she would always hold a special place in his heart. I'm heartbroken. The whole time he kept trying to hold my hand, but I pulled away. I just don't know what to do anymore. He still refused to cut to Sophie, and I feel like a past I can move it as a past I can never erase. I've had some time to reflect, and I realize I need space to think about everything. I'm staying with my parents for now, and I don't know what the future holds. I need to clear my head and figure out what's best for me, finest for me. It's been a couple of weeks since I moved in with my parents, and honestly, I still don't know what to do. I've been giving myself the time and space desperately needed after everything that have Jacob and Sophie. Sure, I'm questioning everything in my marriage. I had moments where I've thought about reconciling but then I remember how he minimized our issues and refused to take responsibility for what he's done. I've been thinking a lot about the conversations I had with Jacob. He said he loves me, but I'm not sure that's enough anymore. The fact he still refuses to respect my boundaries regarding Sophie has been a huge red flag for me. He says their friendship is important, but when does it cross the line? I feel like he's still holding on to a part of his past with her that I can't be a part of, and I don't know if I can live with that. Then though, I finally sat down and had an honest conversation about everything. They've been incredibly supportive. They also made it clear that they think I need to make a decision, either stay in this marriage and continue to tolerate the lack of boundaries with Sophie, or walk away and prioritize my own well-being. Jacob has been trying to reach me, calling and texting, saying he wants to work things out. He's promised that he will do better and respect my feelings. He even told me he'd cuts with Sophie if that's what it takes to save our marriage. Kyoto's man, no I believe him, but I don't know if I had him anymore. I've been considering counseling, but I'm not sure Jacob will be open to it. I think about everything, the more I wonder if the love we once had is enough to overcome these deep-seated issues. And I've I feel like a holding on of a version of him that no longer exists. The hardest part is that I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust him again, even if he cuts ties with Sophie. Me and him, there will always be this doubt in mind, this fear that there's something more between them that I'll never fully understand. We're still unsure about the next step. I feel torn next steps and I'm exhausted and emotionally drained. But I know I can't keep going like this, living in a marriage where I feel like I'm constantly competing with his past. I don't want to be the parental wife, but I don't want to sack happiness for someone who refuses to acknowledge my pain. During my thank you everyone who has supported me, whether by massive messages or by offer. Imagine I'd be in this situation. And that's clear, and I appreciate clarity I've found by sharing with you all.